Hello and welcome to your show. This is SOUQ Pulse. It's always a delight when we gather at 4 Nigerian time, to be specific. For those that are wondering, I'll break it down for you all again. Now, Nigeria happens to be the most populous black nation on earth. Nigeria happens to be one of those places where, for you that believe in God, God has overblessed us. For Nigeria happens to be one of those places where if you don't have a Nigerian in your country, to be specific, move. You heard me right. And I say it just like we say it here with my full chest. This is SOUQ Pulse, and we are on SOUQ News. Here it's all about positive programming. So it doesn't matter what has hit you from morning down to this particular time. We'll tell you, come to SOUQ News and detox. Then once it comes to SOUQ Pulse, we'll tell you it's time for us to talk. So it doesn't matter what business is like. We'll get to talk. Those particular policies that make people go on the street and protest. We talk. Then when it comes to manufacturing, we'll ask you, are you importing everything? Or are you also bringing goods to the market? So we talk. For those looking for jobs, we'll ask questions. Okay, good. Are the jobs available? Or can you create one? What can assist you in creating one? Who can you partner with? We talk. There are several African nations undergoing some form of conflict or the other. We ask questions. Is it internal? Is it external? Who is contributing? Who is losing? Who is winning? Is it good in the first place? We just talk, because that is what we do on SOUQ Pulse, and we tell you the same thing. Don't keep quiet. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. Today we will dwell on something that excites. Something a lot of people will ask, why have we not done this all this while? But don't go anywhere. We'll go on a very short break. I'm going to introduce our topic and also our guest. I'm itching to see him. SOUQ Pulse will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's SOUQ Pulse, and we are definitely having a ball here. Now, today we are going to the automotive industry. Yes, you heard me very well. 99.999% of vehicles used in Africa, majorly the western side of Africa, are imported. Over 90% of them are second-hand used vehicles. Then maybe you have newer versions or new ones coming also through import. Then for those, they are all foreign companies. 99.999% of those companies don't have assembly plants in Africa. So what do? We only go to the market to buy. And industry is, they are not comatose because they don't even exist. Then we now have several assembly plants coming. Then we had manufacturing companies also coming up in Nigeria and some part of West Africa. I'm not talking about South Africa right now. So that's where we are going to. If we say we want to get productive, then that particular things that aid movement from point A to point B, which happens to be one of the major vehicles of movement. Vehicle, that's what it's been called in the first place. Why are we not taking our time and being a part of that player through the value chain? Now we had a National Automotive Industry Development Plan Bill. That fills the mouth. I'll take it again. National Automotive Industry Development Plan Bill. This has been in the making for over 20 years. This particular bill has gone to National Assembly. Several of the past National Assemblies in Nigeria, I'm talking about Nigeria right now. And the lawmakers have, okay, we're done, somebody needs to assent to this, and it should be a law. That's what we'll be talking about. Is we're asking ourselves, what is the way forward on this particular bill? We'll get to find out what is it going to affect, which industries is it going to kickstart, who will be a major player, will it make Nigeria productive? We'll go through all this in the short period we have, and there is no other person to do justice to this than, I like calling him a learned person. When you get to see him, you get to know. He's not just a lecturer for students, he's also a lecturer for nations. Someone who is an expert when it comes to automotive engineering, and someone who is a friend of the house, and also a member of the advisory council to several policies being made in this country as it concerns this bill. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome to SOUQ Pulse this beautiful afternoon, Dr. Muhammed Usman Kaisan. You're welcome, sir. Hello, Dr. Muhammed, can you hear me? Okay. While he gets back and reconnect, you definitely saw the learned gentleman. Don't bother when it comes here. Not only lawyers are learned fellows. If you know a skill or you're learned in it, you are a learned fellow in my eye. So he will connect with us very soon. Now we are looking at this particular Nigeria Automotive Industry Development Plan Bill, and we are asking ourselves, to what extent is that particular bill going to change the face of auto industry in this country? Now we have several players that have sprung up, some over time, some just springing up, some still setting up, some on paper, some doing real good. We get to ask ourselves, to what extent is patronage, be it private business, be it partnership that come and they've turned conglomerates, be it industries or other countries that's also coming in and playing. We'll get to talk about this because this affects every single one of us. It doesn't matter the stone age or the area you live. In the last 30 days, you've been in a car. So somebody's profiting. So why not Africa? So, yeah, Dr. Muhammed Usman Kaisan, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm with you, John Rogers. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I was trying to tell those that are logging in for the first time that we are not just having Dr. Muhammad in the house. He is also an advisor to several panels that formulate policy when it comes to automotive industry policies in Nigeria, and not just a senior lecturer, you are also an expert when it comes to automotive engineering. And we are glad that you take your time out and be with us this afternoon. Welcome to SOUQ Pulse.
It's my pleasure being with SOUQ Pulse.
Thank you very much. I like the pulse part. Now, we are looking at the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Bill. This bill has been in the making for a very long time. And if I recall, you also played a part, contributed in one way or the other in pushing the formulation of this, even when you are well outside the National Assembly or any of the state assemblies. But you played your part. Now we are asking ourselves, at this point in time, what will this bill achieve?
Could you please repeat the question?
Okay. The Nigeria Automotive Development Industry Plan Bill, all this period, yes, it has not been assented to by the president, but now let's go to the bill itself. Educate us on the bill. Let's also get to find out what this bill is meant to achieve for now, for tomorrow, and the future.
Okay, thank you. You know, the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Bill is meant to achieve a lot of things, especially in the automotive sector in the country. The bill has been under consideration by the National Assembly for quite a long time. And up to recent days, they have been pushed by the National Economic Council to make sure that the bill has been passed, because the bill has so many potentials. But part of the objectives of the bill is to encourage local production of vehicles, that is automobiles, to ensure that there is consumer protection when it comes to automobiles, because when you have built in Nigerian automobiles, it's easy when there are complaints that the Consumer Protection Council and other relevant agencies could come in and settle any potential dispute. There is also potentiality for technology transfer, maybe between the so-called developed nations to the developing countries like ours. For instance, now, if there is any particular design that a company domiciled in Nigeria wishes to adopt from a company domiciled in a developing country, it's easy that such technology transfer agreement could be signed, and maybe some parts of those vehicles could be replicated in our local vehicles, thereby creating many jobs in the country. There is also a potential for infrastructural development within the country, because take for instance now, if we have so many assembly plants and manufacturing industries, there has to be need for infrastructure for those industries to be operational, and that will create so many jobs and contracts within the country, thereby boosting our economy. And it has the potential of bringing in foreign direct investment too into the country, because in an event whereby a Nigerian company wishes to partner with any expatriate from another country or any potential investor, people will be willing to invest because they know their investment will be safeguarded by the acts if the bill is passed into law. There are so many potentials and a lot of opportunities to be created, especially as we are moving globally towards low emission vehicles, and with the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, now we are converting the petrol engines to CNG based on the presidential initiative. If this manufacturing is done locally, we can directly, instead of converting, produce vehicles that are eco-friendly, like the electric vehicles, those powers and LPG and CNG. There are so many opportunities, too numerous to mention.
Numerous to mention when you talk about opportunities. Now, let's go to somewhere that you like. And after having you on this show twice, it beats me that each time you mention about people getting jobs and the people that have their local artisans and are good at something, being able to be part of a supply chain, it always lights your face up. So let's go to that particular supply chain. Now, for OEMs, that's original equipment manufacturers, who happens to majorly play in the first supply chain, because they are the major ones that the first tier supply to. Now, they manufacture specific equipment for them, be it engines, be it direct like Porsche and Continental. Then the second tier, which also computer chips, bolts, nuts, that is across. But the third tier, that brings it close home. We're looking at people that supply the auto industry, plastic, rubbers, leather, foams, and good artisans. If this bill come into place, from Kano to Kaduna, all the way to the north, our hides and skin will not only be looking for pomo or leather shoes. They are looking at car seats. They are looking at interiors. Those making foams. Those good at making very good leather product. Don't you think we need more information? Because the people are not really informed that once we talk about cars, people's mind just go to rich man toy. Shouldn't I and the man on the street be the one pushing that? Why is this bill not signed? Because it's going to give jobs across the line. Why do we have less information on this bill?
Yes, actually, the Nigerian Automotive Development Council, NAD, National Automotive Design and Development Council, is doing its best to make sure that the information cut across to the common man. And also the Automotive Engineers Institute, which I'm a fellow. We have Auto EI, Automotive and Locomotive Engineers Institute. It's a division of Nigerian Society of Engineers. They are also doing quite a lot. But coupled with that, we need to inculcate efforts with other maybe relevant agencies like the National Orientation Agency and other relevant government MDAs to ensure that the information cut across, especially when it comes to value chain addition in automotive industry. As you mentioned earlier, first and foremost, people will be thinking of steel industry. How I wish our steel rolling mills and the Ajaokota project are fixed. You see, the opportunity for using iron and steel is vast in an automotive industry. Now, plastic and rubber industry, even the tire production itself, the dashboard and other interior components, the seats, whereby maybe people will produce, leather materials. We know we have a lot of local leather manufacturers that sometimes for retrofitting, when you buy a vehicle, a Tukumbo vehicle or any brand new vehicle that comes with fabric materials, when they convert it to a leather seat, which I have tried several times, you will assume that it's a factory fitted leather seating. We have all those people with these skills within the country. But unfortunately, now that the industry is not well established, those people have little or no job to offer because the gap is still in existence. So what we are saying in extent is that if this industry comes to be, that is the automotive industry by the act, a lot of local content will generate so many local jobs within the country. Even the electronic jobs. For instance, we have Electronic Development Institute in Oka. We have so many other people that are involved in one way or the other. The wire and cable, Nigerian Wire and Cable, Nokako, and other people, all of them will have one way or the other to contribute to the automotive industry. But unfortunately, this bill is still hanging. There are a lot of bureaucracy attached to the bill. I don't know, maybe later we'll talk about some constraints that lead to that delay the passage of the bill.
We are not going to do that later. We are going to do it now because you've brought it up and that is where we are heading to. Now, it's over 14 years that this bill has been in National Assembly, both state and the national. Now, it's over 20 years that this bill has been in the making. You know way, way better than we do here. So that is where the next question is coming from. What is delaying this bill being passed and signed?
Yeah, maybe I will have said maybe some of our senators and representatives will have been in a better position to answer why this bill is still delayed. But to a common learner like me, I will think, first of all, there is lack of political will from the National Assembly itself and from the executive, because there has to be motivation. What will motivate the legislators to pass the bill and the president, that is executive, to assent to the bill? There has to be a political will. And I think a pressure by Nigerians will maybe likely make our government to act accordingly. When I say pressure, I mean consistent calls by stakeholders in the automotive industry, including private investors, the engineers, Nigerian Society of Engineers and the like, other professional bodies, the Auto EI, the media, mass media, and the non-governmental organizations. We need to put all hands in deck to make sure that the bill is passed and assented to. And another issue is a lot of bureaucracies. Write this, fine-tune this, correct this, add this, all these things. You know, if a bill is passed, it's better for it to be amended subsequently. But if you follow bureaucracy, the bill will be delayed over time. It will not be passed to law. It will never be an act, and you will still be correcting what you don't even know when and how to use it. And another issue is the National Automotive Design and Development Council has been up and doing in the development of National Automotive Industry Development Plan. Right now, we have a plan between 2023 to 2033. That is a 10-year plan. Initially, ab initio, there was that of 2013 to 2023. That 10 years has elapsed. The plan is there, but how will it be better implemented when there is no any substantive law that is an act pursuing the implementation plan? Sometimes we are good in policy making, but implementation becomes an issue. I want to believe that if such plans combined with the law the bill passed to law are put in place, Nigerians will even be hiring people from neighboring states to be given job within the country because the jobs will be too enormous. And there are also issues of economic consideration when it comes to the development of the automotive industry. You know, after passing the law, there will be a lot of budgetary issue. A lot of money will be required for either public-private partnership or for bringing up infrastructure that will support the development of the industry. So all these are some of the constraints that hinder the development of Nigerian industry bill into an assented act. Also, there will be investment challenges because people are investing most of their money in oil and gas. Not little do they know that if we produce our automobiles within the country, even the oil and gas demand will also have to shift. And if you are producing, if you invest in the industry, for instance, now while we are shifting to CNG vehicles or LPG lower vehicles, there will be demand for gas, even if that of petrol and diesel is low. And when we now move to electrical vehicles, the issue of lithium that will be used for lithium ion battery and other materials, demand will also be existent, and people will now have other opportunities to invest. So we need to educate ourselves more and more and to encourage ourselves to see that this process is concluded by the National Assembly.
We need to encourage ourselves, and we need to form a push party. That's what I'll call it. A very serious push party, because if we get this done, just like you said, it is prosperity. Why we are not grabbing it, I don't know yet. But now, let's also look at this particular part of it. The impact is going to have on the African Continental Free Trade Area. We are not looking at that yet. You just made like a little bite of it.
You know, once
the market is right
our
here,
industry
why
is
are we not
working,
seeing it?
Then we have a potential market in the Eastern Africa, places like Kenya and the rest. Within our sub-Saharan Africa, the West African countries like Niger Republic, Cameroon, Chad, and the rest, all of them import vehicles. None of them is a big manufacturer of vehicles yet. We have potentiality to export even to Southern African countries. The South Africa is served, Namibia, Botswana, and the rest. Even the northern part of the Africa, Morocco, Algeria, and the rest will patronize us because it is an African thing. This is now an African product patronized by Africans. It's cheaper for them to purchase from us. Some of them will even be exported by road instead of importing from Europe and other parts of the world, the western part, the US, Canada, and the rest. It's easier for them. It will be cheaper for them to, if we have quality, competitive products from Nigeria, it's cheaper for other African nations to import from us, and that will boost our economy. It will reduce our capital flight, and maybe the value of our currency will also elevate a bit instead of devaluating on a normal or on a daily basis. So there are so many potentials, and this patriotism that this is an African product is there. Within Nigeria and the neighboring countries, the market is enormous. How many millions of cars do we import into the country on a yearly basis? And how many do other neighboring African countries import? This is a very good demand gap, and I think we need to push for it.
For that question you asked, just a simple data down. 2022, before I go way ahead of us. Now, we spent between almost 325 billion on second-hand vehicles. Generally, we spent about 700 and something billion on vehicles alone, 2022. Now, for 2023, we spent in trillions. That's the differential is in hundreds of percentage leap. Now we go back to what you said earlier on. Political consideration, political will to do the right thing. Do you think there is a force or a third eye or a third hand somewhere pushing down on this bill being passed? Are you with us? Let me ask that question again. Do you think there is a force or there is a hand or there is just a third party somewhere working on this bill not to see the light of the day? We will go on a very short break, but before we do that, let's get to analyze this. We say we need to get productive. Now, the automotive industry is one particular place where it touches almost every other sector of every economy, be it in job, be it in creation of smaller industries, be it in small chains of other supplies and other materials that will be used or will be benefited off the industry. Now we now ask ourselves, if we have an opportunity of playing in this sector, what exactly is stopping us? Because these are those kind of things that when you wake up and you ask yourself, you don't have any answers. Then when we argue, we say, okay, slap me, look in the mirror, I slap myself again. What exactly is stopping us? We'll go on a very short break. When we return, Dr. Usman will be back here. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's still SOUQ Pulse. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. And we've been here talking about the Automotive Industry Bill that's been waiting to be passed for a very long time. Now, for those that are recent graduates, this bill went to the National Assembly before even gained admission to secondary school. Is that long? Now we're asking ourselves, what exactly is stalling? What is stopping? What is stopping the development of the most populous black nation? Because this is directly connected to Africans' development. And we'll have Dr. Muhammed Usman Kaisan, and he's been doing justice to this. Dr. Muhammed, are you back with us now? Hello, Doc. Okay, good. You're back. Can you unmute your device, please?
Yes, I'm with you.
You're welcome back. Now, we were looking at, before we went on a break, we were asking a particular question. Do you think there is a third force that is stopping this bill from seeing the light of the day?
Yes. We were discussing about the possible reasons that make the bill not to see the light of the day. We started discussing about the lack of political will from the legislators themselves to the executive of the country, because mostly you will see that if it is a bill that the executive has interest or political will to pass, it doesn't take long time for it to be passed into law. There are so many examples you can cite within the country. But this one, I don't know, the legislators themselves have not pushed it to the final conclusion, and there is no any pressure group trying to make sure that the law is passed. Our professional bodies are a bit on a low tune. They have been doing their best, but not to the best. Other pressure groups like the civil society organizations, like the general populace, have not been pushing for the bill. So people just kept it within an assembly. They will finish their tenure and go. Others will join and finish their tenure and go like that. And I said also there are issues attached to massive cost of implementation.
I want to pick your brain on this. I want to pick your brain on this. Now, of recent, in the last year, even this particular administration of Biden, down to the last administration of Trump, before Biden came, there was this conflict between the US and China, and a whole lot of it has to do with importation tariff, trade tariff on automobile. We are still seeing the same thing in this particular era, not just US, but China and Europe. We're still seeing the same thing play out even as of yesterday. And Africa happens to be one of the major markets of both players, both China and the US. This now brings us back to this same question. Do you think there is a lobbyist somewhere trying to make sure that Africa doesn't have this kind of bill passed to keep them out of the market? I'm just to ask a theory that I don't know where it exists from. Is it a possibility? This is just one of those conspiracy theories that just get into your head and you just want to sound it out and listen to yourself. Now let's break it down. 90% of our cars is coming out of this country, which means there's a market that has been servicing us all this while. Now we've had the National Assembly that have had tenure over 4. That's 16 years. If we add 2 more, that's 22. Yeah, 2 more, that's 6, that's 24 years. Now let's ask ourselves this question. Is it possible that a lobbyist or a group is trying to make sure that we keep buying from them? These are just conspiracy theories. But is it still possible? But now you now ask yourself, what exactly is the National Assembly? Those that have been there, those that have come and gone, what are they not seeing? Because to some extent, it doesn't make sense. If we want to get productive, then we have to go out there and take the risk of getting productive. So what is stopping us? What has stopped those representing us to do the right thing when it comes to productivity? Doctor was talking about financing of the particular sector. Now, I will also bring up this question. For years, we've seen an Ajokuta industry that budget has gone into it year after year till it stopped. We've also seen an NNPC that budget has gone into it when it was not producing a single drop of oil for years till it stopped. But now this is an industry that has the capability and the capacity to push Africa forward. Why are we not committing to it? These are the reasons we talk. These are the reasons we say, hey, it's SOUQ Pulse. When we start the conversation here, we also expect you to do the same. Okay, now let's get to find out if our guest is back. Dr. Muhammed, are you back with us? Thank you very much. I guess the people holding the power in your side have decided to play the play. You're still welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, I was asking this particular question. Is it possible that there is a lobbying group trying to make sure that this bill does not get passed at the National Assembly?
Yeah, exactly. There is a very good possibility that people who are benefiting from the non-passage of the auto industry bill are pushing on the negative side. While people like you and I are trying to see that the bill has seen the light of the day, others will now be working counterclockwise to ensure that it has not gone through. It's a very usual habit of Nigerians. For instance, when there was plan to develop the rail transport sector, I was aware of some people who spend a lot of money lobbying to counter that industry from development. That is the railway. People were even sponsoring people to pray. I don't know to whom do they pray against the country to ensure that the rail transport system is not working so that they will continue enjoying their normal transport using trailers and the rest, continuously killing our roads by the heavily loaded trucks instead of something that will easily benefit the country like the railway transportation. So on this note, I am aligning my thinking with you that there is very high possibility that people who import auto vehicles into the country are working against it. But be it as it may, if our legislators will be patriotic enough, then those efforts should have been rendered in vain. But I believe we need to put more effort, put more hands in deck to ensure that we counter all their satanic will.
You went full throttle on that particular one. I want to say thank you very much. So it doesn't matter who decides to turn off your light or not, you came back to us. Thank you very much once again. Now let's go this way. When it comes to car financing, for every country that are producing, their first customers is their citizen, their government. Now, we have several car assembly plants and those that are also manufacturing, no matter how small or how big they are trying. At what point in time should we start advising or appealing to every government parastatal or every agency or company to patronize those that are already assembling or manufacturing here in Nigeria?
You know, at initial, when the assembly plant of Peugeot Automobile Nigeria Limited was operational, the Nigerian government then adopted Peugeot as a national carrier, especially for the top government functionaries. You see the serving governors, ministers, including the CNC, are patronizing the Peugeot products. That has boosted the industry till when the things start to decline. If we are moving back to such era, I believe whatever we produce within or assemble within the country, we have a very potential market that will consume most part of it. For instance, now Innocent Motors are trying, and some few other ones within the country. If the government will patronize them the way it should be, especially on the vehicles that the government agencies purchase themselves, instead of procuring them, there should be maybe a policy that all these vehicles must be Nigerian assembled or Nigerian made vehicles. Believe you me, the competition in auto industry will grow and the manufacturing will increase, as well as investment, foreign direct investment will be fully attracted in that industry. But you see that contrary is the case now. Even a simple agency of a state government is looking at most assorted or exotic cars produced by foreign nationals, let alone federal ministries, departments, and agencies, let alone the elected executive and legislators. We need to change the narration if we at least want to ensure that we boost our automotive industry.
Now, let's get to the side of the citizens. There are over 200 and something million of us. That should have skyrocketed by now. Now, for those that are working, those that are gainfully employed, or those that are fully in business, now, auto financing is one particular sector that people don't talk about a lot. But outside this country, for those living in Europe or in the United States or in Asia, that is one major means where they acquire cars. That's, you see them, most times they buy new cars. Off the ramp, off the chain from production, and majorly funded and financed through banks, be their workplace, be their cards, and you get to pay over time. We majorly don't have that, those kind of actions, those kind of businesses, those kind of lines of financing here, aside loans. Do you see this coming in effect if this bill is signed, or do you also see this coming in effect with policies that have to do with the local manufacturing of cars here in Nigeria?
Actually, auto financing is one of the integral components of most of the commercial banks on a global scale, because most people, especially the civil servants and other employees of corporate organizations, cannot afford a single deposit for one brand new automobile. But with different financing techniques, it becomes easier for a worker, maybe just like the way we do mortgage on housing and other schemes. With auto financing, it becomes easier for a worker or a low-income earner to obtain a vehicle. There are different schemes that those people operate. Some of them, like car loans, for instance, an organization or a ministry will say, now for so-so rank to so-so rank, you are entitled to so-so amount, a revolving fund of auto finance. Maybe those are directorate cadre in the federal and state civil service, those at the rank of chief, assistant chief, and principal officers, and the lower senior officers will have certain amount based on their retirement age and the rest that they can assess, so that as they are paying back, being deducted from their salary, it will be used to finance others. That is in terms of workplace. Then our commercial banks must be up and doing too. They must have these windows. I believe some of them have, because I'm aware of a colleague or two that obtained their vehicles some decades ago through auto financing from a commercial bank. But the profit margin is too high. Sometimes when you see the profit margin, you will be really discouraged from even going to the commercial banks. Then issue of hire purchase too should be put in place, maybe with subsidies for people who are doing commercial operations, like maybe the commercial buses and the taxis and the rest should be subsidized and put at higher purchase, especially now that government is advocating cleaner energy. For people who want to use electric vehicle or maybe a CNG powered vehicle or LPG, there should be a particular scheme that those people can now purchase the vehicle and be with guarantors on ground be paying gradually until they pay fully the cost of the vehicle. Then there are some in-house financing too, that maybe between a buyer and the dealer, there will be agreement on how they will now purchase this vehicle and pay gradually. Another option is use of credit cards, mostly in Nigeria because of some of our peculiar natures. We don't use credit card. Most of our cards are debit. Only few selected individuals are issued with credit card because thank God now that we have bank verification and a number, it becomes easier to track debtors. But believe you me, some people will go to a particular bank with an intention of not paying a particular credit. So all these things must be put together to ensure that maybe people can access vehicle on auto financing scheme. Otherwise, we'll still be left behind and the industry will not develop even if the bills has been passed into law.
Now we're looking at, even with the bill passed into law, we are looking at solutions that will make Nigerians, not just auto owners, but the industry to thrive. Now we've gotten to that particular time where we get to turn the table. And we are turning the table on you. Now, let's say you happen to be the person that has the power. And when I say the person that has the power, without any fear of policies going wrong or right, what will you do and what sort of policies will you ensure come to play in the auto industry?
Yeah, but it has broken towards the end of the question. Could you please repeat the question?
Okay, now we are trying to turn the table now. Let's say you happen to be the person in power like now. We've just turned the tables and we've made you the person in the power right now. What will you do differently to put the auto industry where it's supposed to be? What changes will you make now? What policies will you formulate now? What advice will you give now?
Yes, as I told you earlier, the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan is a very good, to the best of my knowledge, it's an excellent policy document. All we need to do is not even formulating new policies, but implementing the existing policies. If those existing policies will be implemented to say 50, 60, 70%, as a country, we are good to go. But the unfortunate thing is the implementation of the policies, sometimes the rate is very slow. As a government, we need to work harder. Our government need to stand up, especially people who are charged with that responsibility. But as an individual now, suppose I have any opportunity, the first thing I will ensure is after passing the bill into law, then I will work together to foster what we call academia industry collaboration. That is coming together of people who are into research with the existing industry, people who are willing to invest in the automotive industry. There are so many projects designed to suit our Nigerian content in terms of automobiles, which you are aware of, but they are lying in the shelves of our libraries in the universities and polytechnics. Once there is this collaboration, maybe you have like a kind of competition between students and researchers with an existing grant from the government to whoever brings any workable research from R&D that will be used by any industry. You will see a lot of patents being registered within the country. Before you know it, our spare parts will be fully developed to the extent that we can compete internationally and even export. And if such happens, we'll have our different car designs that will also fit our peculiar road situation, as well as give the optimum efficiency when it comes to consumption of energy, either electric energy or maybe fuel consumption in terms of gasoline or CNG. What I said in nutshell is there is need for collaboration between the industry and the academia. Secondly, the issue of competition by the researchers in terms of research proposals in the area, as well as students' competition. Then expansion grant for any automobile industry that serves Nigeria maybe a certain amount of money due to imports. For instance, now if we are spending, let's say, 2 to 3 trillion naira, just an example, for importing vehicles into the country, then with the existence of Innocent Motor as an assembly plant, maybe we have saved, let's say, 500 billion naira in that export basis. Then the way we have export expansion grant by Nigerian Export Promotion Council, we should have like incentives to those industries that are saving us from capital flight. These are some of the few things, among others, I think, if given the opportunity, will assist in developing the auto industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammed Usman Kaisan. It's always a pleasure having you on SOUQ Pulse. For those that are not aware, this your table turned will get heard. Thank you for coming on the show, boss. Those that took your light, they've also tried to make sure that you're not going to be heard, but don't worry. We got everything covered and we'll have you right on tape. Want to say thank you to everyone that has been part of this particular production today. Now, one thing is clear. This is SOUQ Pulse where we talk, and we say we need to get productive. We cannot shy away from it. We cannot pray it away. We cannot wish it away either. And we cannot run away from it. It is either we swim or we sink. And we will get productive. So it doesn't matter how much you talk down on the nation or how much you look down on Africa, we will rise. So it doesn't matter how long this bill stays in the National Assembly before it gets signed, it will get signed. Nigeria will produce her own automobile. Nigeria will produce her own chains of parts, spare parts, materials to produce automobile. It will work in our own time. And that depends on me and you. We will play our part and we'll keep talking. This is SOUQ Pulse. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. We'll do this again tomorrow. Thank you very much for being there. Follow us on our social media handles. And thank you for every message you've sent across. For every reply, I also say thank you very much. Have yourself a beautiful evening. Bye.